Hello, I wanted to make a video about my LIS surgery process, which is also known as lateral internal sphincterotomy. You probably watched a couple videos, so I wanted to give you my personal feedback out of my own experience. I will also put out the French version for my fellow Quebecers, so you can find the link in the description. I will also put timestamps in the description so you can have a quick information whether it is about recovery, pre-surgery, or the path I went through and why I went this way regarding with the medical decisions and everything. Also note, I'm not a health professional. The advice I'm giving here are based strictly on personal experience, not on scientific data. So just to put you in context, I just wanted to give you a brief summary of my situation that led me to do the LIS. I'm 28 years old woman living in Quebec, Canada. I have been diagnosed with an anal fissure I was approximately 6 months old, so I was only a baby. And I've dealt with it pretty much all my life, on and off. The fissure itself is the result of chronic constipation, like probably many of you people. So I have been fighting with this using all the methods suggested by the doctors, like the fiber diet intake, drinking a lot of water, and so on. Like many of you know, sometimes one episode of constipation can bring back the fissure, and it really takes nothing. For my part, the last time I had diarrhea from taking antibiotics, and that was enough to bring the pain back. So I have the fissure, but also a couple of hemorrhoids in the way that obviously aren't helping with the fissure situation. In February 2022, the fissure retired and some hemorrhoid flared up at the same time. I had been prescribed some ointments that didn't seem to work out. I will talk about them specifically in a couple minutes. And I ended up staying 7 months in almost constant pain and agony, many hours after each bowel movement, as some of you probably experienced. Here's my go-through of these 7 last months. So at first I have been told to stay on the stool softeners. Note that I have been taking them consistently each day for about the past 5 years, which in my case are sodium doxycyt, 100 milligrams, 4 pills, 2 at the bedtime and 2 in the morning. I've been taking Miralax or polyethylene glycol once a day, which is 17 grams. It's a powder that you put in a drink. You really want to keep your stool as soft as possible to avoid possible retear. You also need to watch your diet, but I'll come back to this a little bit later. For the ointments, I've been prescribed hemorrhoidal cream made out of hydrocortisone. I've been taking nifedipine, which is an antispasmodic for the sphincter, and lidocaine cream, which is a numbing cream for the local area. After many weeks, maybe about, I'd say 12 weeks, of the creams doing pretty much nothing about my healing and my pain, I started to read about hydrocortisone cream is known to make the skin a little bit thinner and could potentially hinder the fissure healing progress. So since my hemorrhoids were gone or deflated at the moment, I decided to stop the hem cream, and I also told my doctor about it. After a couple months, maybe 3 or 4 months, it was clear to them I had a hypertonic sphincter, which is basically your anal muscle having hard spasms, which cause both the pain and the non-healing of the fissure. So about the possibility of having surgery, I have met at least 3 colorectal surgeons in the past 5 years. The 3 of them told me to avoid the LIS surgery as much as possible, as they were concerned with the incontinence risks. It turns out it's riskier for women, and me being in my mid-20s also meant it could compromise many years of my life, and even an eventual pregnancy could make things go wrong. So, in June 2022, me and the surgeon decided to go and try for a botox injection. So for those of you who might not have heard about it, it's an injection in the internal muscle to stop the spasms. It usually lasts for 3 to 6 months. I have been injected without anesthesia. It's honestly very painful at the moment of the injection, but the pain lasts for less than 2 minutes. So I would say it's really worth a try if regular ointment treatment didn't work out for you. Unfortunately, I didn't see any difference at all after the injection. Turns out it doesn't work out for everyone, but as the CRS all told me, it's worth a try before thinking about surgery. So I want to say a word about the pain and its management. I know that I don't have to describe how awful it is since you are already watching this video and surely went through this too. Laying down was the only way I could barely manage the pain. What I found to be helping is regular baths, so about 3 to 4 times a day. I used to put a cold cloth or an ice pack in between the cheeks to help reduce the swelling and the amount of pain. It also helped me to be able to sleep. So it might sound weird, but somehow when also I took a bit of alcoholic beverage, it turned out to help with the muscle spasms. I'm not saying get wasted so you won't feel a thing, but a drink or two might worth a try if you're out of solutions. For sure, be careful about mixing alcohol and pain meds, obviously. Honestly, I have tried pretty much everything I could do to reduce the pain. I've also tried applying cannabis oil, well actually CBD oil locally, but it didn't seem to make a difference on the pain level for me. Again, each body is different, and what doesn't work out for me doesn't mean it won't work out for you. So if you want to give it a try, just do it. For the LIS surgery decision. So this summer, 2022, after 7 months of this, I literally couldn't take it anymore. I haven't been able to work since February, and probably like many of you, I can't wait to start living normally again. So after a discussion with the CRS, we decided to go with the LIS surgery this September 9th, which was 5 days ago. I was honestly very afraid of the risks. I must admit that the stress caused by this big decision for me was a really big part of the entire process. They told me it had a good probability of working. The chances are about 90% of it working to reduce the pain and to help the fissure healing. When I asked for the incontinence risk, they told me it could be up to 40%. And I was very freaking out, but they also told me that the risk is mostly partial incontinence, especially to gas, and liquid stool at the beginning. So the risk of total incontinence is pretty low. It's really rare, even though it does exist and needs to be mentioned. I unfortunately didn't have much information about how I should prepare to the surgery, but here's what I did for me the week before surgery. So I kept a liquid diet for 3 or 4 days before the surgery. 24 hours before surgery, I stopped ingesting anything and tried to remain calm, even though it's not easy to do before that kind of surgery. Take it easy, drink apple juice to maintain your sugar level kind of high, and hope for the best. Don't stress it out too much. Honestly, it's the worst part. So about the LIS surgery procedure itself. Just to clarify my situation, I'm located in Quebec and I have been having the surgery here in Canada. So their practices might vary depending on where you're located. For my part, they gave me the choice of general anesthesia or spinal anesthesia. So my surgeon recommended the spinal for these reasons. First of all, it's easier to get back on your feet after. And second of all, when the anesthesia starts to run off, the pain will come back gradually, as opposed to a general anesthesia, where you basically wake up to tremendous amounts of pain. So I decided to go with the spinal anesthesia, and honestly, I didn't regret my choice at all. It was a relief that the pain came back only gradually. So I can think, oh, I would have done it if it came all at once. So I'm glad I took the decision. After the anesthesia, they gave me some kind of relaxant, and I fell asleep right before the surgery. So this is actually pretty common, and I'm glad it went that way, because I woke up on the table and everything was already done. I wasn't even conscious during the surgery, which was good. I mean, I didn't stress out while I was on the table. It went really well. Then they sent me back to the hospital room so I could come back from the spinal anesthesia. So this is the surgery itself. Now, post-surgery. Again, unfortunately, I wasn't much prepared for before the surgery, but I wasn't much prepared for the post-surgery either. So they gave me Tylenol and Dilaudid, I don't know how to say it, 1 milligram to take each 4 hours, and that's pretty much all they told me. They didn't tell me about diet or anything, so I had less information that I wish I had, but anyway, so I went with what I had. I went back home. I was still under spinal anesthesia, but I'm glad I was still under it because it made the road way easier on my bum. I had a driver, and I really suggest that you have one too for your ride back home, because you probably won't be able to drive. When the anesthesia started to go off, that was the real challenge. That's where the real challenge came by. So, like I said, I wasn't prepared to what I should expect after the surgery, pain-wise, diet-wise, and how it was about to go in the upcoming days. So, the 12 hours following the disappearance of the anesthesia were honestly a nightmare, pain-wise. I knew this would be painful, but this is like next level painful. Know that it was my first surgery ever, and I really didn't know what to expect. The good news is it lasted for about 12 hours before starting slowly to get a bit down. I actually started panicking because I felt like the pain meds weren't doing anything. I called the hospital, they told me it was normal and it would get better. So, well, it did. It took time, but it did. The days 2 and 3 were painful. I wasn't able to stand or to sit or to walk. My word is keep it slow and easy, have lots of rest, find something to do, keep your mind busy. I stayed on the liquid diet for the week. I couldn't imagine like having something slightly hard pass through my anus at that moment. I had a couple BMs during day 2 and day 3, but they were liquid and did not aggravate the pain. So I have been told to keep the area clean and dry. So you jump in the bath after each BM, then you pat it dry. No ointments, no harsh soap. I've been putting a bit of disinfectant in the water to make sure everything was clean. So far, so good. No infection appeared. My state seems to be stable. Some people have been prescribed antibiotics to avoid infection. Well, it wasn't my case. It seemed that keeping the area clean enough was enough. So day 4 is the first day I have been able to stand up. Again, this is my story. It doesn't mean that you can't stand. If you can stand on day 4, you are not healing. Again, each body is different. Everyone's made different. But keep an eye on the area and see if things seems to get better and not infected, especially. You can use a mirror or your cell phone camera to look it up to see how it goes down there. I'm currently on day 5 and I have been able to walk a little, and as you can see, I'm able to sit. It's not comfortable, but it's comfortable enough for me to spend a couple minutes talking and sitting, so which is really good. For the incontinence risk, I had no problem holding even liquid stool in. Today the inflammation went down, and so far so good. I just started to eat some bites of solid food again. I'm keeping it really easy and I don't want to rush things. Patience is the key. Talking about the eating, let's talk about the diet. So since the initial issue comes from constipation, you really want to avoid everything that could make you constipated. Yes, stool softener does work, but sometimes, like in my case, it's not enough to allow complete healing. Again, patience is the key. I have been doing very strict liquid diets, low calories, fiber. I tried everything and it turns out it really depends on your guts and how your body is dealing with the food. Again, I'm no doctor or dietitian. I'm talking out of personal experience. The CRS and general doctor all told me eat a lot of fiber, drink lots of water, take your stool softener, keep yourself away from spicy food, and so on. It turns out when I did take more fiber, even with lots of water, it tended to make it even worse. Because first, I'm having BMs too often, and their quantity is enormous, like even though the BMs are indeed soft. So I tried lots of different things. I removed dairy. I tried whole foods like oats and whole wheat, bananas, liquid. I can't think of them all. What I do know that seemed to work is when I'm avoiding constipating food, obviously, like rice, wheat, oats, even fiber-rich vegetable, it seems to help a lot. Right now I'm having meat, fish, cooked vegetables like spinach, bell pepper, onions, sweet potatoes. These seem to be low residue alternatives that works out for me. I'm not saying that what works out for me should work for you, but a high fiber diet did make it worse for me. Try to see what's best for you and keep in mind that you want to drink lots of liquid and avoid constipating food. I've cut out dairy, but I don't even know if it makes a difference, honestly. Spicy or not spicy, it turns out not making a difference. But again, it's for me. I'm not saying eat lots of spicy food either. So just listen to your body, listen to you, and find out what works out for you. Oh, and also I cut out the coffee because it was rushing the BMs, so which wasn't good. I cut it out of the diet too. So in conclusion, I hope this video answered some of your questions. I know it's not easy to be in your situation and that the LIS surgery might seem like a big decision, but for now I'm doing good and I'm still hoping to get better. The muscular spasms did not come back as they were, and that is very good news. Don't make yourself anxious with all you read on the internet. The bad experiences often come out louder than the good ones. But this is one of the reasons I actually wanted to do this video, since I'm finally starting to heal and I'm sure we all can. So stay positive, do not hesitate to send me a message if required, and I'll be happy to answer you. Keep up!